TC, did you know that pro football training camp has begun?
Very fun.
Football season is close. Man, that's a sign of summer closing in on you, isn't it? The all-new BetParx Casino and Sportsbook app has you covered. New users get their first sports bet risk-free up to $750. The website has terms and conditions. BetParx, the only sportsbook and casino I recommend, betparx.com, where odds, bets, slots, and games all come together in perfect harmony right in your pocket. It makes it a lot of fun to follow the action. Got to be 21 and in Pennsylvania or New Jersey. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Time now for the headlines from Smerconish.com, the newsletter. A lot of voting yesterday. Maybe simplicity is the way to go with the survey questions. 13,549. Simply asking, does Mike Pence have any shot? Does he have any shot to be the 2024 Republican nominee? I don't think so. Not with any particular animus directed toward Mike Pence. I just don't see the lane. I explained all those reasons yesterday. 80% of you agree with me. 79.86% said no. No shot to be the Republican nominee. Here's my short version. He's not scaring anybody out of the race. So on the assumption that Trump really is going to make a go of it and Pence gets in, Pence isn't scaring off any Chris Christie, Ron DeSantis, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, anybody else who wants to get in. So I think it's a multi-candidate field, and Trump wins because he gets 50% of that Republican base vote. Only if someone gets him one-on-one might they have a shot to defeat him in a primary, unless things change. Merrick Garland, a lot of intangibles. Last Sunday, we had a survey question which asked, should the Sesame Place employee inside the Rosita costume in the viral video be fired? 8,487 votes were cast on that. Why am I bringing up the Sunday vote? Well, I want you to remember the result before I tell you this story. 65% of you said no. Don't fire whomever is in that costume. I assume by now you know of the viral video that I'm referring to. So I saw a number of headlines nationally, but particularly in Philadelphia today, saying that a law firm has filed a class action lawsuit against Sesame Place based on claims of racial animus, racial bias. And I thought, oh, so that incident, what was it, TC? Like a 9-second video. We showed it on CNN. You know, I guess that family now has filed. Oh, no, that's not the case. A black family, this is from the ABC. Oh, this is from CNN's coverage, actually. A black family who says Sesame Place Philadelphia character performs racially discriminated against them. They filed a class action suit, yada, yada, yada. The lawsuit filed on behalf of Quentin Burns and his child says that during their visit in June, employees dressed as Sesame Place characters only interacted with white visitors during a meet and greet. The costume character performers dressed as Sesame Street characters Elmo, Ernie, Telly Monster, and Abby Kadabi? I guess so. Abby Kadabi refused to engage with the Burns family. So these are other individuals. Hence, it's a class action. This story notes something that I pointed out last week, which is the Sesame Street brand. This is a licensing deal. The Sesame Street brand is getting beat up, but it's SeaWorld.
That's right.
It's SeaWorld. Was your audio not functioning before?
I had the guest mic up and not my mic up.
That's great.
Just,
all right.
Just so you know.
Hello.
Why can you now hear me for the first time?
Now I hear you for the first time.
You kind of like being able to control my microphone.
I was pushing the button. If I had the button to push, I would.
Exactly.
No, my point is SeaWorld has thus far not taken a hit. Sesame Street, which I think of as being, uber inclusive, is taking the hit. And it reminds me, do you remember, TC, I had Howard Bragman, who's a PR expert on CNN on Saturday. And then I was kind of mulling over what he was telling me. And we dissected it Monday in the third hour of the program, because I seem to hear, like, he didn't think the person inside the costume should be fired. And yet he thought that the company was slow to move and the training was necessary. And I said, well, wait, if you don't think the person should be fired, then you're not buying into the idea that it was necessarily a racist act. And if it wasn't a racist act, why is training necessary? And he seemed to be saying to me, you got to take your medicine. My words, not his. But he seemed to be saying, you got to take your medicine and do it quickly. I'm uncomfortable with this because if I don't know all the facts, obviously the litigation's just been filed. If they really engaged in racist activity, then I want everybody fired and I want everybody trained. But if they didn't, it seems like we are watching the demise of a brand, and maybe unfairly. Today's survey question, another simple question. The eggheads have spoken. I want to know what you think. Are we in a recession? From whatever your personal barometer might be, the price of eggs, the price of gas, what you see going on in the retail world around you, how your consumer habits have changed. What do you think? Don't tell me what the economists say. Tell me what you think. Are we in a recession? By the way, I mentioned in the same breath, if you're really getting beat up because of the recession, Mega Millions, Friday at 11 p.m. Eastern. Do you play this?
Well, I buy the occasional lottery ticket. I'm not I don't do it all the time, but I figure someone has to win, right? Eventually.
1 in 302 million chance.
Okay, I get it, but someone's going to win. You might as well be the winner. Maybe just buy one ticket. Don't go crazy. I mean, I have friends that are appalled by anyone. They can't believe I would ever. All right.
That you would ever not buy one?
No, that you would ever buy one.
What? Why are they appalled?
Because they think it's bad financial sense.
Oh, it's fun. What is it? $1? It's
okay.
Fun.
Right. That's my point. So
lose those friends.
Right. But my point is don't buy 100,000. Someone was buying like $100,000 worth.
Okay. I have a problem with that.
Right. Well, they have a ton of money, but then they figure if they do that, then they're going to get $1 billion, right?
I mean, if a person is spending their last nickel on it, that's not a good thing.
That's the problem.
So the total is 1.025 billion.
That's crazy.
If you can take your winnings in a lump sum after taxes, it says 602.5 million. It's like a 40% tax rate. I think Steve Cordasco could get you some advice and you could save on that. But okay,
give a call.
Do you want the 600 mil in cash, or do you want a nice hefty payment and then paid out annually over the next 29 years?
Definitely get the lump sum.
You want the lump sum.
Are you kidding me? This isn't even a question.
You're going to blow it.
I'm not going to blow it. Are you kidding me? You seriously, you would do an annuity? I would do it
Annual payments over 29 years. Yeah.
Not a chance.
Why? How much of the, here's 600.
I want to have the money to play with.
Okay. I don't know. Like your alternative is the 600 mil,
I love how we're talking about this as though it's a serious.
Well, I need to know your answer. The 600 mil right now, or I'm sorry, I don't know what the alternative is spread out over 29 years, but I have to believe you're getting at least 50 mil right up front.
Zero chance.
Can't you live on the 50 mil?
Not anymore, Michael. Not anymore.
Because of inflation.
No, because
we're in a recession.
Because now I have this much money.
Senator Manchin. Wow. What does this mean? A Manchin approved reconciliation bill. Tell you what it means to me. You still need Kirsten Sinema. And she is a woman of mystery. Like, who knows what Kirsten Sinema is going to do? Build Back Better is gone. I love this. They're calling this the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. Like, who's going to vote again? Many will is the answer. But who wants to vote? Senator, how did you vote on the Inflation Reduction Act? Oh, I voted for inflation. I love how they bring in a Frank, Luntz to try and come up with a name that people don't want to oppose. $369 billion in energy and climate spending. You look at what's going on. I know, don't conflate weather with climate change, but holy crap, the planet's on fire. Hopefully they can do something about it and do that soon. Hey, this is an interesting story. All these stories, of course, are at Smerconish.com, the newsletter. So I saw this at Sports Illustrated. We posted either from SI or for golf.com. There's a lot of coverage on it. Headline from SI: Donald Trump will play in Live Golf Pro-Am at Bedminster. So today, Thursday, is a pro amateur, and he is going to play with his son Eric and majors champions Dustin Johnson and Bryson DeChambeau. And I thought, wow, this is really interesting. TC, do you know why my curiosity was so piqued? Let's see how well you know me, because we have not discussed this.
Because it's not going to be on camera.
Well, you got to my punchline. what I was saying is to myself, I can't believe we're going to know his score.
We aren't.
But we aren't.
Are not. That
we are
is
not.
the punchline.
Because
I knew you would notice that.
Because I was picturing Judge Schmales in Caddyshack kicking the ball with his foot like Spalding, Spalding. Yeah. And I'm reminded of Michael Bamberger, who has played multiple rounds with Trump, saying that he has a very loose scoring policy. And I'm thinking, oh my God,
we're going to watch the whole thing.
We're going to know, we're going to really know that he's like a 9 over,
literally,
and not a 72.
Not a chance.
But there will be no spectators.
There will be no spectators.
It's funny. Okay, well, we both saw exactly the same thing. So yesterday, I had this really fun experience where there is how would I describe it? It is a bus-based summer camp called Encore 36. Kids from all over the country who are politically, civically motivated. They get on a bus and they go, like they had been to the National Constitution Center in in Philadelphia, then came to me in the Philly burbs on the bus, met on a local college campus under a tree, hot day, could have been hotter. And when they left me, they were going to Washington, D.C. They'd been to Dealey Plaza in Dallas. They'd been to the Oklahoma City Memorial. I mean, imagine that experience for your kids. How could I say no when they said, Billy Planer, the organizer, said, will you come and speak to them? I'm going to share with you some of that audio, and we also recorded some of the video as well because we thought it would be fun, and it was. They asked very pointed questions. So I bring it up now, going over the headlines, because one of their pointed questions was, are you for reform of the Supreme Court? And my answer was, no. Elections have consequences. Go win an election. If you don't like the composition of the court, and Republicans do a hell of a lot better job in focusing that issue with their electorate than do Democrats. That was my answer yesterday to the kids. Today, I'm looking at a story from The Hill and from SCOTUS blog. Democrats introduce a bill to enact term limits for Supreme Court justices. And I'm regretting my words to the kids yesterday in Encore 36. Yeah.
What would you have said otherwise?
Well, they were talking about court packing. I'm not for court packing.
Their questions were specific.
I know.
Smart and pointed.
I'm taking a mulligan now.
Go ahead.
So but I can be convinced that at a certain point, you're too old to serve on the Supreme Court of the United States. I am. Just the fact of the current crop of leadership that we have in this country is too old across the board. Yeah, and I'm talking about the Senate. I'm talking about the House. I'm talking about the president. And I'm talking about the Supreme Court.
So you're talking about something different than this bill, because this bill is term limits. And if you get on the court when you're 40, you're not aged out.
Right. This is a max of 18 years on the bench. Okay. I'm using this as a means of saying I would be open.
Okay.
I would be open.
Rule.
That is exactly right. And something else that I was speaking of yesterday with the kids was on political choice. And I made the point, I said to them yesterday, if it's Trump and Biden in 2024, the parties will nominate two candidates that neither party wants to nominate. Indeed, here's the data today, reprinted by ABC News, saying exactly what I was saying yesterday. I've got the numbers to back it up. Most Republicans don't want Trump, and most Democrats do not want Biden. The New York Post is all over the Hunter Biden story again today. But listen, it is not just the New York Post. CNN had a package that I watched either last night or very early this morning, suggesting that the Biden investigation, the Hunter Biden investigation, is reaching its ending. And there was a revelation yesterday where one of Hunter Biden's former business partners, not Tony Bobulinski, but rather another guy, James Gilliar, former British Special Forces officer, he too referred to Joe Biden as being the big guy. This was in the context of the Post breaking the story 3 weeks before the election. Flurry of emails. Gilliar, a guy who'd been on the inside on all this, is going back and forth and wondering, hey, what happens with this investigation if Joe Biden is elected? too complex for me to lay out now, but I'm paying attention to it, and I think you should as well. It's linked at Smerconish.com. And finally today, I was excited to read a piece that we linked to in the Washington Post, written by David Jolly, former member of Congress, guest on this program, Christine Todd Whitman, former governor of New Jersey, Andrew Yang, the tech impresario and erstwhile presidential candidate. And we already forget he ran for mayor of New York City as well.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
So they have linked forces. They each have, affinity groups on similar causes, but they have linked forces now to form what they're calling the Forward Party. It's a unique approach where you don't have to quit your party in order to be a member of the Forward Party. Honestly, if you read what they wrote in the Washington Post today, and if you are a regular listener or viewer of mine, you'd swear I wrote it. Do you agree, TC?
I 100% agree with you.
Polarization is fueling a spike in political intimidation. If nothing is done, the United States will not reach its 300th birthday this century in recognizable form. Americans have lost faith in government. 8 in 10 say the country is headed in the wrong direction. The United States badly needs a new political party, one that reflects the moderate, common sense majority. Today's outdated parties have failed by catering to the fringes. As a result, most Americans feel they aren't represented. Most third parties in the U.S. failed to take off because either they were ideologically too narrow or the population was uninterested. Voters are calling for a new party now more than other. For the first time in our history, how often do you hear this from me? Roughly half of Americans consider themselves independents, and 2/3 say a new party is needed. And then they go on and they say, so we are merging our efforts together, which represent the left, right, and center, to build the launch pad for a new political party called Forward. So there it is. Hey, I just yesterday, not only with the kids from Edgar, but also on air, we were having exactly this conversation. We also had, just thinking about candidates and elections, we also have an interesting piece from New York Magazine talking about how Republicans increasingly are refusing to speak to the press. Last night, I had a really nice chat with my mentor and my friend of many, many years, the dean of Philadelphia broadcast journalists, Larry Kane.
How was Larry Kane?
When Larry was on the air anchoring the news, used to have Larry Kane's notebook.
Oh, really?
And he had political tidbits, and it was a big thing because you'd want to know, like, what was in Larry Kane's notebook. So last night, and he's about to celebrate a milestone birthday.
Amazing.
We're on the phone, and he's running through, like the politics of the day, and he's analyzing the Pennsylvania races and Biden's standing and the Trump factor and blah, 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 blah. And by the end of the conversation, I said, Larry, I feel like I just got the Larry Kane notebook. But one of the things we talked about was this trend of Republicans now believing that you don't have to cooperate with the media. And I said to him, I wonder if Doug Mastriano, who does not return press phone calls in Pennsylvania, even though he's the standard bearer of the Republican Party, I wonder if he's even going to consent to a debate. Trump has already said he's not going to consent to the Commission on Presidential Debates. And, it used to be like if the Washington Post said, hey, we want to profile you, Senator, Republican or Democrat,
of course,
the office cooperates. Right. Those days are gone.
Yeah.
So this Connor Friedlander piece goes into that and explains it. And I think it's really well done, and it's really eye-opening. Does a candidate for office have an obligation
that's the question,
to avail themselves to media questioning? Republicans today, when Trump uses that as a badge of honor. Look at the fake news. They've just turned off the lights on their cameras.
We had a caller yesterday who said something about how it was the New York Times, and they said no matter what they write, they would never believe a word they said.
True.
So what do you do then?
Yeah, such is the distrust, not only in the media, but in American institutions. Well, that's a lot. And I just scratched the surface of some of the stories contained at Smerconish.com and in today's newsletter. So please make sure that you are subscribing. Are we in a recession? Go vote at Smerconish.com. That I'm not asking for the expert analysis. I want to know what you think based on your real life. Is this what a recession looks like? Go vote. See you tomorrow.